The New Haven, Hartford, and Springfield commuter rail service is being proposed to provide another alternative to driving along the I-91 corridor. Unstable gasoline prices, the growing threat to the environment from auto emissions, and economic development potential are factors in the continued interest and support for evaluating the benefits and impacts on the region. This new commuter service and improvements to the New Haven to Springfield rail corridor are considered to be a key strategy for increasing and sustaining the region's economic vitality and enhancing regional livability.
For a long time in the state of Connecticut, we were sort of moving away from transit, and we were putting more and more reliance on the automobiles with a lot of focus on our interstate system. The reality is that sometime during the 80s, everyone began to realize that we weren't going to be able to continue to build our way out of congestion with more highways. It was becoming too expensive. It was becoming too difficult from an environmental perspective and just from a development perspective. As we got more built out, it was harder and harder to try to add any highway capacity.
The proposal is to provide enhanced rail service to commuters during the morning and afternoon peak periods along a 62-mile corridor between the cities of New Haven, Hartford, and Springfield, Massachusetts.
It's a very big plus for the environment and so forth. It provides a major choice option for people. Not everybody wants to drive everywhere. But sometimes you have no choice, and I think that's what we're trying to do, is give more choices to people in the transportation world that they might not currently have.
The origin of this particular project goes back to a study that was published in 2001 called the Regional Transit Strategy, where we took a look at the future of the region, determined that we needed to reduce our dependency on the automobile, and came up with a strategy for developing a rapid transit system. But a key component of that was actually the New Haven, Hartford, and Springfield rail project.
For 150 years, passengers and freight have traveled from New Haven to Springfield over this rail line. With the construction of the interstate highway system in the 1950s, rail use declined and much of the double track was removed. The rail line is currently owned by Amtrak, which operates 12 intercity trains daily in regional service. The line passes through 17 towns in 2 states and connects the 3 cities. Connecting service is available in New Haven to New York and Boston.
Amtrak owns the line between New Haven and Springfield, and they provide what's called regional service, which is not as intense as a commuter service might be. It's basically about 14 trains a day, and it's mostly for the longer haul traveler between Boston and Washington as part of their Northeast Corridor operation.
The problem with it, as we first saw it, is it's not really geared to commuter connections. And it's not even really geared to shorter connections, say, between Hartford and New Haven or Springfield and New Haven. The fare structure, the timetables and everything don't really favor that.
Frequency and reliability are the most important aspects of any efficient commuter rail. The planning of this proposal addresses these issues with public forums and information exchanges to help communities along the I-91 corridor embrace and understand the benefits of the proposed commuter service. In 2005, an implementation study examined a number of rail service strategies. A startup service and a full build alternative became the 2 options that are now being proposed in the environmental assessment. The startup service would include bidirectional 30-minute peak hour service Monday through Friday from Springfield to New Haven. The addition of double track. New service to supplement Amtrak's existing intercity service with, if possible, adjustments to Amtrak's schedule. The construction of new stations in North Haven, Newington, and Enfield. Construction of a waiting area at the Windsor Lock Station with a shuttle bus transfer connection to Bradley International Airport. Modifications to existing stations to provide high-level platforms, grade-separated pedestrian facilities and amenities, bicycle racks, and additional parking. Coordinate with local development to support new commuter rail parking in a new Meriden parking structure, improving local bus routes to provide connecting service to the stations. The estimated travel time from New Haven to Springfield is 90 minutes, stopping at all stations. If an express train is added, it would only stop at the 3 anchor cities, New Haven, Hartford, and Springfield, and travel time would be reduced by approximately 15 minutes. The full build alternative, if feasible, could include construct an additional station in the Wharton Brook area of North Haven, added weekend service on a reduced frequency level. An environmental assessment for the proposed improvements to the rail line is being prepared as a follow-up to the 2005 implementation plan.
There's ups and downsides of every transportation mode has its ups and downs. The major upside is predictability and reliability. You're not going to have a traffic jam. Second advantage is that it uses a lot less carbon dioxide. And I think the third element here is that it provides the opportunity for rebuilding around cities, downtown areas that other transportation modes don't really have. Cars don't encourage compact development, they encourage the opposite.
The stations would be a catalyst for what's been termed as transit-oriented development, which means that the communities will have an opportunity to develop or redevelop the areas around the station with more dense retail, mixed retail, and residential use, concentrating around the transit service.
A transit station often becomes one of the centers of a town, and we have that opportunity here with many of our New England towns built very close to those rail lines. So we have a huge opportunity here where in a lot of cases the nice amenities are walkable from the train station. You can see that sometimes the village green or the steepled church walkable from a train station, sort of like picture book stuff. We can use that asset by just rehabilitating the rail corridor and making it more of a commuter corridor.
We would like to make better use of the Bradley International Airport. It certainly is recognized as one of the major economic growth engines in our region.
You have the benefit of an airport that's accessible by a commuter rail. The chances of the commuter rail being successful go way, way up.
Studies have shown that communities with reliable commuter rail service see benefits that positively impact the economic viability of the communities that they serve.
New York City is the prime economic center on all of the East Coast, with national markets and international markets and transportation systems focused on that city. Going back to the original Gallus report, in which he said Connecticut's economic growth was threatened because of us losing some of our physical transportation links to the larger national and international economies. There is a hope that we'll be able to use federal funds for this. And it's that use of federal funds that spurs the requirement to do an environmental assessment, and they have certain requirements and protocol that you have to go through, and unfortunately the way it's normally done is about a 2-year project. Now, from one perspective, people are asking why, if you're taking a facility that's 150 years old and you're simply putting more trains on it, why do you need an environmental assessment? And if you were just putting more trains on it, you wouldn't. But again, we've talked about the fact that we will be doing some double tracking, and more importantly, we'll be doing some renovations of stations, installation of new parking areas, maybe even new parking structures, garages, and in some cases putting in new stations entirely. And it's that aspect of it that is really generating the requirement for an environmental assessment.
In 2005, it was estimated that the construction cost for the startup service would be approximately $300 million, and the cost to operate was estimated to be approximately $10 million annually. At the fare schedule currently being estimated for the service, an annual subsidy of approximately $9 million would be required to cover operating deficits. The Connecticut Department of Transportation estimates daily boardings of approximately 5,000 for the startup service alternative in the analysis year of 2030.
And as money goes these days, these are not extremely expensive investments. When we talk about commuter rail costing hundreds of millions, I mean, people blanch a little bit. But airport terminal reconfigurations in a couple of major airports are in the, I don't know, $7 to $10 billion range. So transportation is expensive. But commuter rail, as it goes, it's certainly a significant amount of money, but it's not that expensive. It's, I think, a reasonable value, and people understand it. Since the track is already there, it's a pretty good deal.
I'm extremely excited by the fact that this proposal in particular has gotten so much support. Years ago, we never thought that a proposal like this would gain the support that it did and actually become a reality.
It's a win-win all around, and so that's why I think it's a real change agent looking to the future about how we could live in a way that's much more attractive and sustainable.
Public participation in the development of this plan is important. Your involvement and comments are invited, so get involved with the commuter rail project. Go to the website to make comments and check on the project updates as well as future meetings at www.nhhsrail.com.